What's good, Bolt fam? We interrupt the beginning of this show to provide you with some breaking news provided by the Chargers official X account. It has now been made official. Former Chargers wide receiver Keenan Allen has now re-signed with the team for one more year. It's a one-year contract worth $8.52 million. It's not too lofty of a price tag for him as far as what he's going to be expected to do, where a lot of the fans want to slot him into the offense. But before we get into all of that and breaking that down, I need to do my due diligence and introduce, of course, my co-host, my producer extraordinaire, Kyle Nash. Kyle, we've just got some breaking news to open the show with. Not exactly what we expected, but let's roll with it, brother. How you feeling?
I may be poorly dressed for the occasion, but I know it's a big deal, Booga, here. Keenan Allen coming back. By the way, we thought we had a big deal on our hands when we noticed, hey, look here, the numbers changing for DJ Uiagalelei. Now, that was the hint enough we needed for 13 to be freed up, and sure enough, shortly after that, the news of Keenan Allen arriving. So I'll ask you, the Charger homer in the room, this show being called Bo Blitz. What's your opinion of this, man? Because I have my feelings, but I don't want to start right off being ignorant. Maybe you could set me right. Keenan Allen coming back. How big a deal, man?
It's a huge deal. Let me start with rewinding a little bit further back into this offseason. Yes, just like Wayne's World, baby. You're sitting there on the couch and you're trying to figure out what the Chargers are going to do to supplement the wide receiving core to benefit Ladd McConkey out there. You know, that rookie who had a pretty decent damn year. And then you find out, and there's some news through the grapevine, that it could be a former Charger receiver rejoining the ranks of the Lightning Bolts, if you will. And then the announcement was made that it was Mike Williams. I know that I'm not the only one out there in the Bolt fam or in Charger land that was a little disappointed that it wasn't Keenan Allen.
You had questions.
Yes. I think everybody has a lot of questions. So to fast forward anyway, the Mike Williams experiment literally hardly even got off the ground. It ended up that he decided that his body was not in the shape that he needed it to be to compete at the level at which he thought he would be doing himself a service. So he went on ahead and retired, and a few weeks later, the Chargers bring in that other guy, number 13 Slayer, Keenan Allen. He's back with the Chargers. Listen, folks, I understand that he's another year older, and I understand that as opposed to barrel-chested, he was barrel-bellied there for a little bit in Chicago. But let me make something very clear to where you can understand it as clear as day. Keenan Allen and Justin Herbert have the best rapport that I've seen in a very long time between a Chargers quarterback and a receiving option. And I would literally even compare that to what Phillip Rivers had with Antonio Gares. I'd say that worked out pretty okay. If you feel that I'm overstepping my bounds there, Mr. Third Down, Mr. Red Zone now. And because his contract is a reasonable one, right around $8.52 million, I believe is what the report was. Nobody's expecting him to come out here and be a number one. Nobody's expecting him to come out here and be a number two. Just be Keenan Allen when the team calls on you. I don't know about you guys. Actually, I think I could speak on behalf of everyone here. But looking back at that playoff game against Houston, Ladd was the only one who could do anything to manufacture any type of a window for Herbert to fit the ball in. It didn't help that Zion and Bradley Bozeman were just letting everyone and their dog into his lap. He didn't have anybody to get the ball to. I'll tell you right now, and I know that y'all are going to agree with me, you bring in a guy like Keenan Allen, and no matter what, in those clutch situations, there's a trust there, a vehement trust that you can't replace, that is so hard to build that if you are going to build it, you have to build it over multiple seasons. Well, they've got that back again. Mr. Third Down, the Slayer, one of the greatest route runners in the history of the NFL. Keenan Allen is a Charger again. Now, Kyle, I know you're outside looking in, but what are your thoughts on Keenan coming back?
And here's where I live, man. Father Time's an a-hole, bro. Like, let me lead with that. So you sound awfully just excited about it. And by the way, there's our dude Addy looking out for us.
Hey, Addy, what's up, my brother? Good to see you on there. By the way, for the folks that are just now seeing the comment in the bottom, please feel free to comment. I just want to point out 80 Simon's right there, the gentleman who just chimed in. He's actually one of our future co-hosts. So thanks for coming to the show. We appreciate your support, and we can't wait to have you on here. You and your short ass and tiny ass, 6'11", 335 pounds, whatever the fuck you are. But anyway,
I just thought he had a great beard. You didn't have to throw all those
giants. You see all you cats are offensive linemen, and then you got my little ass kick return and punt return.
I'm not 6'11". What are you talking about?
But y'all are all offensive linemen. I'm safe. We all need to go out. We just go out, and then I get to do what I do, which is run my mouth, and y'all do all the hard work for me, just in case.
Hard work? We stand up out of the chair. That's all the hell we do. Okay.
Well, I mean, there's so many things I can say to that would be so self-deprecating to me. So I'm not going to do that. Listen, here's the bottom line about the Keenan Allen signing. It's not the world beating, like the Chargers are Super Bowl bound, but what it is it's more comfortability for number 10.
Yes. For
all those folks out there who had problems with Emory Hunt last week coming on the show and saying that the number 10, Justin Herbert, isn't clutch. There are some signs that would maybe lend itself to that being true. We know the numbers. We know the Raider game. We know the late game efforts that he's put out there. So far in the playoffs, it just hasn't looked the way that we've wanted it to look or that we would hope it to look.
Right.
Having a guy like Keenan Allen, having that trust in the offensive unit, it's going to only elevate his game further, especially when it comes to the games that count. Bringing back Keenan Allen seemed like a no-brainer, speaking of 80. 80 has been talking about it for a while. So let me express what was the concern of most of the internet, especially on X/Twitter. And people were concerned with, well, you bring in Keenan Allen, what is that going to do to Ladd? Are you going to take away slot snaps from Ladd? Or does it force you to have to come up with a different playbook? What the fuck are y'all talking about? No, you pencil him in and you do what you've done with him in the past. You have him on some choice routes, some option routes underneath. You have him work towards the sticks. You have him route these dudes up in third down situations and in red zone situations. He's not expected to come out there and be the number one. He's not expected to come out there to be the number two. Is he going to take some slot snaps? Yes, he's going to play some in the slot. But by the way, that kid Ladd, he lines up all right at X and Z and everywhere else across the field.
Right.
Ladd McConkey is a special receiver. Do not let his size fool you. Do not let the powder blues fool you. The Chargers have a receiving core right now that's a little bit exciting, and we're going to get to another couple guys here in a little bit, but I just want to make things very crystal clear on the Keenan Allen signing. It's not like a guarantee. It's not a ticket to the Super Bowl, but it's an opportunity to make 10 more comfortable. And considering what both Ortiz and Harbaugh have decided is going to be in front of him, we need as many options for him to feel comfortable as possible. Kyle, you know where I'm moving to next with this. We've got the immortal. My goodness. Former basketball player at Kent State, Antonio Gares, voted into, enshrined into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Couldn't happen to a greater guy. The greatest scoring tight end in the history of professional football. What are your thoughts on Antonio getting in, number one, and number two, at taking his second effort to get in and him not being a first ballot Hall of Famer?
Him not being a first ballot is absolutely asinine. Can we lead with that? I don't know what the hell we're doing here. We didn't start talking about tight ends being basketball players until he joined the league, and now everybody. I feel like it's kind of like that period of time where if you had lunch with Todd McVay, you were an NFL coach, right? If you played basketball, suddenly scouts are looking at you as a tight end. Okay, that whole thing. Suddenly we're talking about, what position would LeBron play if he was in the NFL? Tight end. That started with Antonio Gares. That's right. I found a dang LeBron James link to Antonio Gares. But I think that says more about Gates than anything else. And the fact that there was a gate keeping him from the Hall of Fame in the first ballot is just the biggest bunch of trash I've seen in my life. By the way, that was from the hip Booga Peters. I don't want to hear it. Anyways, all the above to say this, I'm not even a homer. And it was, we can say naughty words on the show. It was bullshit.
Thank you. I was a little afraid after your correction earlier and your really nicety, if you will, that I was going to be the only one to drop the bombs on this show. Listen, Kyle does not cuss as often as I do. I'll be completely honest with you. I'm not good at not cussing. I was allowed to cuss at a very young age. This is how I've always talked. I talk to my children like this. My kids are allowed to cuss. They're not allowed to drop F-bombs. They're never allowed to use the C word. But I don't think that cussing is nearly as big a deal as anybody else does. But on this show, one of the reasons that the players and the media and the journalists and everybody love coming on this show, or any shows that we've done, I said the coming on this show again, Bert Grossman, you've got me locked into saying that shit. Being guests on this show, it's because you get to be yourself, and there's no like contingency plan for how you have to talk or how you have to frame what you say. You just say what you have to say, and we have some fun with it. Here on this show on Bolt Blitz, any iteration of Bolt Blitz, where the guests appear, they do not come on Bolt Blitz. Where guests appear, feel free to be yourself, and that's why everybody loves to do it. I kind of segued into this a little bit ago, and then I got off track, and nobody's surprised by that. We were talking about other weapons on the Chargers. The addition of Keenan Allen, fabulous. Really excited about it. Let's talk about another wide receiver there that maybe not everybody was talking about too much until the preseason and training camp had started, and that's KeAndre Lambert-Smith. This cat.
That's how you keep it about the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame game was where he scored a touchdown the other night, and I know everybody's going to go, look at the score. The Lions turned the ball over 5 times. Who gives a damn? Okay. But him getting a touchdown and him still emerging after last week, Eric Williams of Fox Sports says what he said about camp. Does that make you excited? That's just what I wanted to hear first.
Well, and here's the deal. I mean, he's a different type of receiver than the Chargers have had in quite some time. We're talking about Keenan. We will touch on Trey Harris, but KLS is a true 4-3-7 guy. Like, he can legitimately take the top off of defense. He can do a lot of things to help you manipulate those safeties, manipulate the coverage over the top to allow you to open up things underneath, which would definitely lend itself to bringing in a Keenan Allen and even your second-round draft pick, Trey Harris out of Ole Miss. But what they have in KLS is somebody who doesn't have your traditional jump ball size, that 50-50 jump ball size. But he still is incredibly good at going up and getting the ball, despite the fact that he's only 6'1" and a little over 200. He's not a giant guy. In fact, he's just barely 200. But his body positioning, his ability to get himself in between the defensive back and high point the ball is something that's very difficult to teach. It's something that when you have a quarterback like Herbert, he'll take advantage of that. We've seen the ropes this guy can do. We've seen the ropes that he can put on the ball to where it's on a line to where it's literally just going to have just enough room. We saw Ladd in the back of the end zone in the playoff game. And earlier in the season, we've seen it on the sideline. I don't know how many times with Keenan Allen. It's just another opportunity for Justin to establish that much more confidence in himself and his ability to say, when KLS is on the field, he's going to be where I need him to be at the time that I need him to be there. And for any quarterback, that's going to be an asset to you in all the ways that a guy like KLS can bring.
Well, let me cook some with the beef here too. You talk about your concerns with the O-line, and I get them. I don't think I'm as alarmist. The Bozeman thing, I get. Some of the new, bringing Becton in, I'm more excited about that than you are. You have misgivings I don't quite get, and who knows, man? Listen, this is your house. Maybe I'm wrong about it. I get it, but one way you can relieve pressure from the offensive line is to make them think twice about stacking boxes or sending blitzes, especially when you have a quarterback like Justin Herbert and you have receiver cores that can hit you on all 3 levels. Kyle, there's only 3 levels when you're talking about blocking down the field. No, I don't agree. Because if you have a Keenan Allen underneath and you have a mid-level guy like Ladd McConkey, and then you have KLS is going to rock y'all. He's going to take you down the field over the top. Well, damn, you better do something because Herbert's going to hurt you. And by the way, this is the non-homer take. Okay, well, I do love Harbaugh, but still.
No, for sure.
That's just, this is what I see. Now, granted, the protection will still have to hold. 3rd and long will still be a money down. That is still a thing that happens. You do face Patrick Mahomes II twice a year. All of that. And by the way, the Broncos got better. Let me be clear. The Raiders think they did. They didn't. I said what I said. But at day's end, I feel like the Chargers did raise the tide for what they had compared to last year. And I think that's the goal of any offseason.
Well, and sure, and you look at what just let's even go back prior to Harbaugh just taking over. It's a horrible 5-win team.
Is this the point that I bring up again how you defended that coach and I tried to warn you, but you wouldn't listen?
Man, I think if anybody was going to accuse me of any travesty whatsoever, defending Charger head coaches, these specialty coordinators is something that I would consider to be a specialty of mine at this point throughout my journalistic career, if you will. Boy, they've had some special ones, but as we've talked about on this show, just in our 2 baby births, if you will, of episodes, they brought in Harbaugh. They brought in the anti-specialized coordinator. They brought in the winner. They brought in the proven commodity, and that's not something that Dean had been willing to do in the past. It had always been, with the exception of Marty Schottenheimer and a little dabbling. I understand the North Turner thing. I'm not as harsh on him as many people are, especially our boy Dan McClellan. Dan McClellan is who helped me get the job at CBS Sports, but Dan is actually known for arguing with Norv and pissing him off in press conferences. So I was a fan of Dan McClellan before Dan knew who I was. But when you look at this Harbaugh team compared to the guy I used to defend, that Brandon Staley cat doing the downward, upward, kitty cat, dog, alligator thing or whatever on the field for everybody to see, and out there in plain sight were children, women.
Now he's Smoka fired. That's what he is. Okay.
Yeah. Well, no, we saw.
We do Street Fighter.
If you haven't seen the pictures of Brandon Staley lately, just take a peek at how he looks. He's now the defensive coordinator of the Saints. Keep an eye on that defense, because remember, that's a defensive guru, defensive genius.
Stop.
Who came in and took over the Chargers and then made sure that they had a bottom 3 to 5 run defense in the entire league during his entire tenure with the team. That's neither here nor there. I got an idea.
You have any idea how long I referred to the Saints as a prom date team? Do you know what a prom date team is?
Sure do.
By the way, for those who don't, that means they score a lot and they can't stop anyone from doing it. Anyways, continue, sir. I got to say as we go. I'm so sorry. Allow me to imbibe. I mean, indulge, if you will.
Why not both?
We were talking, and we try, especially on this show. It's a night and day thing. And just to put a ribbon on a bow, on the Staley to Harbaugh comparison. Brandon Staley had no clue what he was doing. It was really just trying to figure it out as he went along. Jim Harbaugh has long established how to do it and how to win. He's brought that here to the Chargers. This will be a topic for another show. My concern has very little to do with Jim Harbaugh as far as the Chargers moving forward and what their success bar could be. My concern is more to do with Joe Ortiz, the general manager, but that's something that we have to have A.D. Simons on the show for because I can't carry that one myself. That's more of an original idea of his. And we'll breach this in a future show, but here's a question for you to ask yourselves right now, Bolt fan. Is Joe Ortiz, let's just look at the offense, is Joe Ortiz drafting the right players for the Greg Roman scheme? I only reference this in one way, and I just want you to look at it from here. Yes, he added 2 running backs in Najee, who we think is now Blinky or whatever. Maybe he's a pirate. Maybe he's got 2 eye patches. I don't fucking know at this point. Nobody does. He's walking around the field at training camp, so I guess that's a positive thing. I'd like to see him seeing things, but maybe that's just asking too much at this point. But oh God. And now I'm getting no way.
Uh-oh.
Nope, somebody is being a complete asshole. Everything's good. Somebody was trying to fuck with me about the Keenan Allen signing.
Yeah.
I'll get you after this, and you know who you are. Let's get right back to it. So actually, in fact, that's the perfect opportunity to do this. So I've been doing this for a long time. I took a hiatus, almost a full decade. Literally, I've been promising people I'd come back. But let's rewind to my very first show. It was a Bolt Blitz show, Bolt Blitz Live on 107.9 Mountain Country. It's a Christian country station. Very, very pleased and happy to have ever been a part of that. Chris Torek, the station manager there, phenomenal. The station director ended up being a friend of mine. But let me tell you what happened on my first show there. may he rest in peace, Thomas Powell, my co-host, half of Bolt Blitz from the very beginning. If it weren't for what Thomas did for me in the very beginning, there would be no Bolt Blitz. Bolt Blitz would have died off, but we moved out there. We, as in me, we created Bolt Blitz, and we threw a lot of parties, and we wrote thousands and thousands of articles, and it was a good time. But on our first show, we took calls. We took open calls from the public on our first show. And on the very first show, the very first call-in guest. Now, mind you, for those of you who don't know, I'm very deaf. I have very poor hearing, and I did back then. It's even worse now. But the first guest says, "So who's on top? You or Thomas?" And I didn't hear them. So then I asked them to repeat it. "So who's on top when you're fucking, you or Thomas?"
Oh, God.
And then they hung up. So I bring all that up to piggyback off the fact that, boy, I got real lost there for a minute. I had no fucking clue what we were talking about. The Suds are sudsing, and we're having a damn good time on Bolt Blitz right now. Drew Brandt, he will be a co-host on this damn show. That's the man. Drew has been through some shit. He's a phenomenal teammate as a co-host. We look forward to having him on. He's just announcing in the comments right now, Slayer is home. And for all you Charger fans out there who are just joining us, this is Bolt Blitz Uncut. I'm your boy, Booga Peters. This is our co-producer, our co-host, producer extraordinaire, Kyle Nash. We're chopping it up about all things Chargers training camp right now. We touched a little bit on Gates, and then I got long-winded, started talking about Harbaugh, complaining about Brandon Staley, bragged about KLS, celebrated and excited about the Keenan Allen signing. And my God, we're only 20-something minutes into this show. So thank you, everybody, for joining us thus far. We've hopped around a little bit, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to kind of dig deep into this backup QB battle between Taylor Heineke and Trey Lance. And ironically enough, my man Kyle over here, our producer and co-host, he is actually a 49ers fan. So
I dressed for the occasion, as you can tell.
He's got that 49er cap on backwards, folks. Listen, man, so Trey Lance, third pick in the draft. Everybody's excited in Niner land. You know, the red and gold, they're all up in arms with the fact that they got that next guy. Fast forward to several years later, what the fuck happened, and why is he now a Charger?
Well, and listen, the whole situation, everybody by now knows the story of the Niners quarterback core, where, you know, Trey Lance played in that slippery, wet Bears game, got hurt, and was never to be heard from again. It's not that he was playing bad at that point. He just got injured and it got taken out. And, well, hey, they had Garoppolo waiting in the wings, right? And all of that going. And then down the line was when we got Brock Purdy involved there, and then he got hurt, and then Josh Johnson, and then eventually freaking Run DMC himself, Christian McCaffrey, playing quarterback in a certain championship game where my good friend from the Huddle Up podcast, Matt Muehlheisen, tries to tell me that the Eagles legitimately won that game, even though they didn't pull away till the fourth quarter when that happened. But nobody wants to talk about that. So, what happened with Trey Lance after that is they saw Purdy, elevated him as a 7th round player. And listen, let me tell you, Booga, as a guy who saw him twice play in what was then the Camping World Bowl, now the Cheez-It Bowl here in Orlando, did not expect him to do what it was that he did. But then he did. And then Trey was like, "So guys, can I get a shot somewhere, please? Fine. We'll trade you." They did him a solid and they moved him to Dallas. How'd that go when they end up paying Dakota Rain Prescott? Yeah. So this opportunity for him to back up Justin Herbert, I think, is a good one for him to at least show out, maybe help a team in the future who might need a quarterback. I'm just saying he could be the Colts quarterback next year if he performs well enough. I said what I said, but that's more me and my Duval Dive Kyle talking. Make sure you check that out with me and Travis T. Holmes talking Jaguar football. But all the above to say, I don't think Trey Lance, we don't know what Trey Lance is out there in the NFL world. He's not been really given a true shot, and it's completely not his fault. Blame the greatness. That is what's going on with general manager John Lynch. By the way, Tampa Bay Buccaneer legend, safety
Of course.
on Lynch. And for all the credit he's done, because say what you will about Trey Lance being an air quotes miss. We don't know if he is one yet, technically, because we haven't really seen him. But he managed to keep that franchise afloat without Trey Lance. So that being said, that loss could be the Chargers' gain and a quality backup. And, listen, if Herbert needs to sit a couple games for whatever reason X, you could be in a worse position than a Trey Lance, that receiver core, and a coach that loves to run the football in Jim Harbaugh.
No, I mean, and here's the deal. I'm not expecting Trey Lance to come in and have to win any football games. I really hope not. 10's pretty fucking tough. That Justin Herbert kid, I think you're really going to have to take him off the field in an ambulance. I don't think that he's going to ever walk off willingly. And we've seen that. The guy plays through countless injuries. But in watching Trey Lance in that first game, I mean, again, we kind of touched on the Hall of Fame game a little bit. 34-7 drubbing, second stringers and third stringers against all of them. It was all a bunch of backups, but whatever. Drew brought up a really great point. The play action offense, in fact, Roman's offense, it fits Trey Lance to a T, literally, as Drew talked about. You love his action. His fakes are really good. His play action fakes are very solid. He's selling me. He's selling the cameraman. Maybe he's selling a couple of y'all out there too. When you establish the run with a quarterback like Trey, especially one who has some athleticism and the ability to peel out and roll out of that pocket, and maybe do a little thing here and there with his legs, that is enough to excite some people. Maybe even some people in Indianapolis as they look at their situation with the AR-15 and Daniel Jones. I'm really glad you brought that up because they're such a mess. But we got to worry about that shit in Los Angeles because we've got 10 and Trey Lance. And here's the deal. So you're listening to these press conferences. We've heard Greg Roman say, he gave a lot of props to Trey. He also said, Taylor Heineke's doing just fine, and we're going to change things up in the next game. I don't know for sure what they're going to do. I don't believe they've announced it yet. I would expect Taylor to get the kind of treatment that Trey Lance got last week. And that's, I expect to see Taylor the first half and even part of the second half to see what they can do adjustment-wise at halftime. See how he plays into that and what they want to do and make it more of a real-life simulation, if you will, to make it feel like the regular season for them. Here's the bottom line. Like almost every other position on this team, the Chargers have created so much more depth and competition. It can only benefit the team, and it's definitely going to benefit the fans because it gives you a lot more to pay attention to. The battles are real. The running back room is thick. The wide receiver room is thick when it comes to who's going to be in there in the starting lineup. People are going to be fighting for opportunities. And you're like, well, then why did they bring in Keenan? Because Keenan has earned his opportunities already. The rapport that he has with Justin Herbert, I promise you, guys, some people have thrown it around on social media. Mr. Third Down, that's who you're going to be calling Keenan. He's going to continue to make those clutch plays like that too. It's not just he didn't forget how to run routes for Justin Herbert, even if he is a little more cylindrical. Even if he's a little more cylindrical, I have the utmost confidence in whom I believe is the second best route runner in the history of the NFL. Chad Ochocinco, yeah, you're number one. I'll allow you to hear that, even though you got dusted by me in Madden, but that's a story for another day. But listen, Keenan can still run routes. He's got great feet. And then and Richie literally just got me. Richie Farley in the comments is saying the mismatch both Keenan and Ladd can present on both sides of the offense is going to be sweet as shit. And here's what I love about what he's saying. You can run over routes, deep over routes from the outside and just let Ladd and Keenan work underneath. Disley, have him be a safety valve. The Chargers have running backs who are capable of catching the ball. Let's not forget that selection at 22. Oh, that's right. That one guy. Who liked him? Who said, God, Marion Hampton's my favorite player in the entire draft. Oh, fuck, that's me. I forgot about that. That's right. That was me. Yeah, he's a Los Angeles Charger. Sorry, 80.
As an aside, brother, the one name you haven't mentioned yet that really blows this open is Trey Harris. You mentioned all this other stuff, and you didn't even whisper that dude's name here, and I think that's what makes this core complete.
And I'm so glad that you kind of brought that back up because here's the deal. with KLS showing out the way that he has, and then these other reserve wide receivers coming in, there hasn't been a lot of talk about Trey Harris, to be completely honest with you. There was a little snafu with the contract stuff and the second round draft picks all getting shafted by Nick Caserio, general manager of the Houston Texans, where not the second round draft picks, excuse me, the NFL clubs having to follow suit behind the guy who guaranteed money to a wide receiver in the second round. And it's like everybody else in their dog was like, well, I'm a second rounder too. I want my whole shit guaranteed. And the NFL said, oh, fuck no. And they cut that shit off.
And rightly so. Yeah.
And rightly so. Like, come on, guys. It's bad enough that there's enough guaranteed money in the first round. We've seen, I don't know how many times we've seen first round picks. Yes, I see 80 in the comment section right now.
You know why I'm laughing.
So hold on. I'll do this. I love this. We audible on this show all the time. You have to be able to adapt and change with what's going on, especially as a host of a show. So my boy 80 in the comment section is saying, fuck you. Mason Taylor was the guy. So our thoughts on what was going on at 22 with the Chargers is, and if you watch it back, or if you were watching it live, you saw some hemming and hawing. You saw some indecisiveness. You saw some unsureties that would literally lead you to believe, like, did they want to draft Booga's favorite player or not? Because it got down to the very, very end. And even after they called it in, and 80 brought this up in the group chat, the last 15 or 25 seconds or so, Ortiz is completely uncomfortable. So for those of you out there who don't know, what was going on behind the scenes is the Philadelphia Eagles had called the Chargers to trade up. It was something, by the way, they had talked to prior to the Chargers being on the clock at 22. This was something the Chargers were aware could happen. They'd already had discussions. Remember, almost every NFL team's talked with almost every NFL team right around their pick. So this is not uncommon. This is something that happens. Well, the Eagles wanted to jump up so that they could take Jihad Campbell, linebacker out of Alabama. They ended up getting him anyway at 32, but they thought with the Chargers and what could be a possible need there, that if it wasn't them, that the teams after them would end up taking Jihad Campbell prior to the Eagles being able to draft him. So they were going to move up. My concern, just like 80s, not quite to the level of 80s.
Of FU, Taylor was the pick, right?
I mean, if you weren't sure, that was the guy you wanted to take, I would definitely say this. Other than a quarterback, is there a worse position to take if you're unsure? A first-round running back? I don't know. I'm just saying, and it's not to, again, guilty as charged. I wanted Omarion Hampton the entire time. I'm so glad he's a Charger. I cannot wait to see him be the second leading rusher in Chargers history. I truly believe that's not just a realistic goal. I expect it to happen.
Wow.
This is further than a Michael Turner, a Darren Sproles, than a Melvin Gordon, because honestly, once you get past those names, you're still at about 5,000, 6,000 yards. I expect Omarion Hampton to be an 1,100 to 1,400 yard rusher per season. I really do. Even with the offensive line they have in place right now, and you're like, what do you mean? Is that offensive line bet? Hey, I think it's the best tackle combination in football. People want to argue with me about that. Let's go. We can do it all day. I'll buy the drinks. It'll be a good time. It's when you get inside those tackles where the concern happens. Again, Becton. As Kyle mentioned earlier in the show, he's a little more excited about that addition for the Chargers than I am. I don't know if you get the Becton from New York or if you get the Becton that played on like four of the greatest offensive linemen we've seen in a long time. That unit in Philadelphia, very much partially responsible for the Super Bowl victory.
You think?
Just a ridiculous assortment of gentlemen to protect your quarterback. But you don't necessarily have to have that. That being said, it's Becton in there. Do you get that guy? What if he gets hurt? And then, oh, by the way, this football factory of competitors welcome, and we're an O-line centric building. And then you run back. God damn it, I get mad even saying it. You run it back with Bozeman at center, and this was just recently announced, by the way. Bozeman is slated to be the starting center per Jim Harbaugh, and Zion Johnson's going to just slide the fuck back to left guard, and we're just going to see this shit happen all over again. Here's what I don't expect to have happened during this offseason is either one of them to be able to recognize, pick up, and communicate a stunt. Either one of them. I don't know if they're blind. I don't know if they're playing games. I don't know if their hands are behind their back. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Bozeman's been in the league too long. He should be able to diagnose what is going on, especially with his amount of experience when it comes to just a simple stunt. And these guys, they just can't handle it. Houston didn't just have pressure off the edges in that playoff game. Yeah. It was up the middle. It was all, Daniil Hunter, Will Anderson Jr., they were all eating. And it was horrible. It was horrible to watch. It was horrible to watch. And the Chargers decided, competitors welcome, we're going to run it back with Bozeman at center and Zion Johnson at guard. Listen, they dressed it up. Oh, thank you so much. Bravo. Oh, there was this huge competition. They brought in Andre James. Motherfucker, please. Come on, man.
Well,
if it didn't happen, there wasn't a real competition, or we wouldn't be back at fucking square one again.
Let me introduce this. And this isn't me preaching this as gospel, or I don't know how much I believe it. I'm just making good radio here. I'll lead and tell the people that. But you're in a division. And the one bit of props we can throw at the Raiders is that a portion of the time before Christian Wilkins got hurt last year, and now they've excised him, so that should be even easier. But they got him and that Max guy, that one dude who's real good. That's basically their team on defense.
1/3 of Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Got it.
I see what you did there. Then the actual MVP of the Kansas City Chiefs, Chris Jones, in the middle as well. There too. We don't talk enough about that. And the Broncos, which is what I think is the best defense as an aggregate in the division. I think some of that's a factor to make this line look worse than it might be. I'm not here to say it's great, but is there some there? What do you think of that?
No. Honestly, I feel like you bailed me out a little bit, or you helped out a lot of the optimistic Charger fans in kind of presenting the fact that it's not as bad as I may make it sound. But we've seen this movie. We've watched the credits. We've seen the post credits.
There was hurt before, says Booga.
And literally, we were all hurt last year. But so the addition of a Keenan Allen, the drafting of Trey Harris and KLS and hell. Though I cannot disagree with y'all more about Oronde Gadsden being this God's greatest gift to the tight end position.
You don't see me.
He might be somebody who contributes too. He's got quick feet. There's some things that he obviously has to work on as a blocker. But from what we're being told out of Chargers camp, he's willing. He's a willing participant, and I promise for all you young guys out there, if you're a little nervous about blocking and maybe you're more of a receiving guy. Blocking is 90% being willing to do it. Stick your nose in there. Listen to your coaches. Y'all will be just fine. Don't be afraid to pop somebody in the mouth if you're not catching a football, because maybe somebody else around you will be catching a football too. Oh, and then 80, thank you for raining on our fucking parade one more time. Becton hasn't practiced since July 28th. He's hurt. We saw that pick. So the pick that 80 is referencing right now it was long ago. I mean, this is early at, I don't know, OTAs, minicamp, I don't know, 1 or 2.
This was a June discussion. I was part of this one, actually.
Yeah, okay. I didn't know if you were on board yet.
I feel like Captain America. I get that reference.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm sorry.
No, that was meant to laugh. Laugh, damn it.
It's the kinesiology tape. The K tape on Becton from the beginning. 80 and I immediately were like, oh, fuck. Like, we were the alarmists in the group chat, like, Jesus Christ. This is really bad. And I love that Kyle was like, it's a stability thing. And, it could be, he's struggling with a little bit of tightness or whatever. We're Chargers fans, brother. You go straight to the fucking Ray Bradbury. Alfred
I spent so much time with the Duval Devout such that they are in Jacksonville. I was the last year I wrote for the Dolphins Wire was tanking for Tua. Like, listen, I've sat in these negative spaces and been forced to find the positive. Maybe the problem is me. I get it. That's fine. Scott Frost came back at UCF. I'm supposed to think that changes life when I write for the Black and Gold Banneret, okay? Come on, man. Someone's got to find the positive up in this humpy pumpy.
Listen, without you, there would be no Scott Frost reference on a Bull Blitz production. Let me tell you that. So,
Cortez Broughton, baby. Let's go.
Hey, we're multifaceted. We're all over the place, man. For those of you who are just tuning in, you're listening to Bolt Blitz Uncut. We're on YouTube, we're on X, Twitter, whatever the fuck you call it. We're on StreamYard. We're wherever you want to find us. The good news
just
is
because we're laughing a lot, don't be telling people we're on X. That's not smart. Okay.
There are too many people who know my past who are like, yes, I bet he is.
Oh my.
Oh man. So we won't do that this episode, but one of these days we'll dabble in all the things that I dabbled in. But I do need to keep it very clean in that regard because I do have children in the home with me now on both floors above me. So I do need to be very cautious on my extracurricular activities from my youth that I talk about. Just kidding. My kids know everything. Y'all tell your kids stuff. Talk to your kids about who you were, or they're just going to be who you were.
If I talk about who I was, they'll get bored. But please, let's get back to football.
Yeah, no, we will get back to football because my kids are just like, I won't do anything that my dad did hardly ever. He was insane. And they're right. I don't know what that past tense part is, but hey, again, we're doing the Bolt Blitz thing. It's a little insane. It's a little crazy. We're kind of a little bit all over the place. You've got your Kyle Nash in the background. I've got my Bolt Blitz in the background. This has been a nice kind of amalgamation of two completely different things within the same vein, in that all my buddies are offensive linemen and you just happen to be one too. What concerns from the outside looking in do you have when we're talking about this Charger team? And maybe it's Jim Harbaugh, or maybe he's too rah-rah, or maybe it is Justin Herbert isn't clutch enough. Or maybe the weapons are unproven except for Keenan Allen. Like, if you look at, let's just say the offense, that's a little too much to say the whole team. But if you had a concern about the offense that isn't the interior offensive line, what would it be and why?
Oh, gracious. See, and I mean, I think you're right to preach what you do about the interior offensive line. But since I'm asked to go a different direction, the health of your running back core is something I find interesting because you mentioned Najee being what it is. And I'll say this, Omarion Hampton might be the guy from the ACC that keeps his job. Wait, hold on. Let me try one more time. There we go. DJ Uiagalelei, being an ACC quarterback, obviously loses any sort of credibility in my front because, listen, I tried to tell people, Commander fans, hey, Sam Howell's going to be great. And I tried to remind these fools that the name Samuel Howell has 3 L's before you even start thinking about anything. But nobody wanted to talk about that. And who was right? The guy who said that Jaden Daniels would be surprising. Does he have an L in his name? Yes, but just one. And that's until the playoffs. So what are we talking about here? I say all the above to say this. I like Omarion Hampton. I like his game. I don't know if he's going to translate as well as everybody thinks, because playing ACC offensive and playing ACC defensive lines, his offensive line, and North Carolina, it's good. I don't know, whatever. They'll come to town when Belichick does his thing with the black and gold band red at UCF in the bounce house. I'll worry about that then. But I keep plugging my stuff, dude. I'm sorry. But
no, please do, especially on here.
I don't know that Omarion Hampton's game will immediately transfer to the NFL, because I think the gap in the talent between the offensive line that he has and the defensive line on the other side has ever been that great. That's going to be an interesting thing to see him adjust to.
Here's why it has to, because there's an apparent gap in one of Najee Harris's eyes.
Yes.
And because of that eye issue,
yes.
My man Hampton's going to have to put up or shut up right away, man. He's
I
going to
see
be
what you did there.
Well done. That deserved a bell ring. But I felt like Mel Brooks there for a goddamn second. I didn't get a harumph out of that guy. We won't quote that movie too much. But no, in all honesty, yeah, sure. I understand the concerns behind Hampton. He's not this overly fast guy. He's a 4.46 guy. He's not overly spectacular when it comes to making super flashy plays. But to me, he reminds me of like this combination of like a Larry Johnson and a Joe Mixon just wrapped in one running back. Not
Some
too
big names,
flashy.
dude.
Well, real hard runner, a little bit of catching ability out of the backfield, like both had. Larry Johnson was underrated as far as his ability to catch the ball in the backfield.
100%.
Mixon can do that too. It's something that Mixon's done. I know he's in Houston now, and he's kind of slowed down a little bit about how much you're hearing about him. If he's healthy, I expect him to have a solid year. But those are the two backs that Hampton reminds me of. Because of Blinky, Captain Blinky, Najee Harris, and his issue, Hampton's going to get all the carries that he wants and can handle. Kamani Vidal is going to be backing him up most likely, and he's looked good in the preseason. He had 2 rushing touchdowns against the Lions there in the Hall of Fame game. Congratulations to him. It's really good to see him get some touches. For the Raheem Rocket Sanders fans out there like me, it was a little disheartening because he hasn't really gotten any pull, and we'd really like to see him be healthy and get some carries. That's something I'm looking forward to as the preseason plays out. But, Richie, what you got for me? Richie is saying the interior line and D-line are my major concerns for this team. In division like the AFC West, not having consistent pressure on the quarterback will quite literally get you killed. Yeah, so he nailed it. So here's the deal. You look around the AFC West. We'll take Herbert out for a second, and we'll just go with Geno, Bo Nix. Geno, Bo Nix. Who the hell am I forgetting?
Patrick Mahomes the second.
Patrick Mahomes. Oh, I don't know, the best of all of them. When you look at those 3 players, literally the one thing you have to do with all 3 of them is maintain that pocket, or they're going to get out and do goofy things with you. They're all mobile. We know that. Mahomes, when you keep him in the pocket, you'll see his numbers go down, especially when you can get pressure up the middle and collapse the edges. Geno's been the same fucking quarterback forever. No one's confused about how to stop Geno. They just have trouble. Hey, don't you dare. He was just as good in New York as he has been anywhere else. He just didn't have the people around him. You're crazy.
His brain was not the same, dude. And quarterback,
because he got boxed in the head by that linebacker.
Yeah, I understand. He got knocked out of the starting position by a third-string linebacker because he didn't pay his money. I understand that. And the Jets got better for it because Ryan Fitzpatrick came in. And I'll tell you, Geno Smith is not the same dude mentally. He grew up. He was catered to and soft because he was in the Big 12 at the time and didn't face any real defense till he got to the NFL, and he grew the hell up. And that's how he did what he did. And the reason why it was successful under Pete Carroll is he's the kind of coach that's an older school guy, right? He decided to get an offensive line after he had Russell Carrington Wilson, but please don't get me off on that tangent. This is a damn Chargers show, not a Seahawks one. I'm just a student of the game. But the punchline's this, Booga. This same environment that Geno's in is not the same one he is in Seattle, and he's not the right fit, and that is the problem.
I want to agree with you so badly. Charger fans are going to really fucking hate this. I really love the marriage between Pete Carroll and Geno Smith.
And you said I was high. What are you doing?
I love I'm always high. That's all right, though, baby. Come on. When you're my height, you got to be. Wait, what? I love the marriage between Geno Smith and Pete Carroll, actually. And the fact that they brought in Ashton Genty, like, come on, man. And as much credit as and I'm going to do this now, 80, you don't deserve this. But as much as I don't give credit to Colton Miller, the left tackle there, whom I had a 5th-round grade on, and so did Jeff Risdon of Lions Wire, one of my boys. Boy, he has improved. In 80, I only watched 3 games. But, yeah, Colton Miller is not as poor at pass protection. He doesn't have his sloppy feet as I remember. His initial punch has definitely improved. And his head on a swivel is more natural, and it doesn't look like he's confused as fuck. There's some shit going on. There's some shit going on in Vegas right now that I actually like where Brock Bowers is an all-everything tight end as long as you don't ask him to block. But he's going to get open more often than not, far more often than not. I love what Geno's going to do with him, except for the fact that they face the Chargers at least twice next year. I think if y'all are sleeping on the Raiders, you're going to be very, very ignorantly upset when the season rolls around. I do not know how much of a problem they'll put or propose for the Chargers, because I really like the Chargers matchup with everything they have there. But I think the Raiders are one of those teams that's going to be lagging around 500 the whole year. And if they were to be able to get on a run, there's somebody that I could see kind of sneaking in and not knowing how they're as good as they are and maybe making a little noise, not necessarily in the playoffs, but I expect them to be much better than people think.
Say I'm gonna have to do some laughing, but you pulled back. It's okay.
No, everybody's trying to shit on the Raiders, saying they're a 3 or 4 win team. I don't think that's.
I'm not there. Yeah.
Listen, Genty could be half of what he was in college, and he's still going to probably put up 900 yards, even behind the offensive line that they have. Those are some big boys too. It's not just Colton Miller, and I'm not overly impressed with the wide receiving core, but the Raiders are still the Raiders, and those division games hit no matter what. And I haven't brought this up yet, but that Jim Harbaugh battle is huge. There's no love lost there between those two. Pete is a complete fucking prick to Jim, and Jim kind of plays this weird, like, not standoffish like older brother, like, oh, I don't want to offend him, but he really does. He's not as aggressive as Pete is when it comes to the way that they attack this thing. It's going to be something fun to watch.
Yeah,
I guarantee you all the media agencies in the alphabet companies out there, they're going to be all over it. They're not yet.
Oh, and they should be. And they should be. Listen, and say what you will. Pete Carroll has an awful lot of confidence for a guy who can't manage the clock in big games and made the worst Super Bowl offensive play call in history. I agree with you. I said what I said, Booga Peters.
Yeah, and no one's going to argue with that. What's funny is I just watched a clip from that game that I'd never seen yet. Finally, that Super Bowl with the Seahawks and the Patriots in it. And there's a clip now where it shows the two officials. Damn it, I can't remember his name. I know most of the white hats in the league. That's the referee. It's the only one that's the referee. By the way, PSA out there. Quit calling them all referees. They're all officials. As a group, they're officials. There's only one referee, and that's the white hat, and you got to earn the fuck out of that shit. Trust me. I actually earned the white hat for the youth Super Bowl in the city of Walla Walla. Yeah, your boy was an official too. Come on. I was throwing flags. I was throwing all the flags all over those 9 through 11-year-olds. Come on, man.
I don't knock it. My dad did that too. It's all good.
I fucking loved officiating. It was a blast. I got in great shape. I'm running with these kids. To put a button on this, I will say this, and this is one of the most difficult. It was the most difficult time as an official, and one of the most difficult decisions I made in my entire life. And I mean this. So in the youth Super Bowl, there are lots of rules when it comes to celebrating in youth football. There are lots of rules. You cannot celebrate. You sure as shit cannot celebrate during a 40-yard touchdown run. It's the end of the game. This is horrible.
Sounds like you're going to.
Very few. I'm painting the Little Giants or any football movie scene, and there's going to be one asshole to ruin the whole movie. And it's the same guy holding his hand up here. This poor kid, he was 10 years old, the best player on the field, both sides of the ball, didn't matter what team. And this poor cat, I can't remember if he picked off a ball or he scooped up a fumble, but he's running it in, and he holds his hands up as he's going into the end zone. And I turn around to the crowd as they're all going crazy, and I just shook my head. Threw the flag, and touchdown called back.
No. Oh.
Very next play, fumble by the offense, center quarterback exchange issue. Defense got the ball, game over.
Oh, boy.
I cannot tell you. Listen, the Chargers are about to play the Chiefs in Sao Paulo, Brazil. I hear it's dangerous out there, but let me tell you about the danger when you're about 6 yards in front of the sideline of a bunch of parents who just watched you call away the game-winning touchdown. Let me tell you, I moved a little bit quicker than normal after that game. It was insane. But the officiating thing is definitely something I have in my background. And I got Richie laughing at me. I know. Oh, and by the way, what we didn't talk about, because we're not going too far into the schedule, is if you look at the schedule for the Chargers, Richie said, hey, we'll see in week 2 regarding what's going on with Pete Carroll, Geno Smith, and the Raiders. Chargers open up with 3 division games right in a row.
That's so weird. I hate that. But any team does it. I hate that.
Well, and for me, it's not a misnomer regarding where your team's at, but I think it provides built-in excuses for the media, perhaps even the coaching staff, especially if you don't get off to a great start.
I mean, that's not an opportunity for the media to talk trash. Well, you couldn't get ready. You knew it was coming in camp.
Yeah, I don't know that the Chargers media out there, Daniel Popper of The Athletic, He'll occasionally ask a question that's a little bit tough, but there's not a tough question asker in that Chargers media room. So that's not something that any of them are going to have to worry about. And I'm not suggesting that, the biggest thing about the Chargers playing 3 division games in a row is the fact that, that's unfair and that's just crazy no matter who does it. But you're going to find out a lot about this team and all 3 teams, those 3 teams in division right away. And I'm kind of excited for that. I forgot it was the Raiders in week 2. I thought it was Denver. But open up with Kansas City, then the Raiders, and then Denver. I mean, those are tough games no matter who you are. Listen, the Chargers and their fans are going to find out a lot about themselves early. And then it's going to be a matter of whether or not they can adjust. Can Greg Roman do throughout a season what he doesn't do in the second half of games? And that's adjust. Can Jesse Minter do a little more of what he'd like to do, and that's call a little more man? Unfortunately, I don't know that this is the defensive roster to do that. They get stuck in zone a lot more often than he'd like them to be. I know that Jesse Minter wants more man concepts in there. I know that he wants to play more man. You just don't have the team to do that as far as your secondary. Do I think that Dante Jackson can help out a lot in man coverage? I do think that he's going to help improve that, even though I don't think that his PFF grades will show you that. I do think that what he can do speed-wise is going to be something that will be a decent measurement of what the Chargers defensive backs are going to have to do when it comes to the receivers of the Raiders, of the Broncos, of the Chiefs. I think that it's going to be a good measuring stick of that.
I can't front on that. I don't even think that. That's a good take.
Well, thank you. And I appreciate that. While we're sitting here at about the 56-minute mark, all these Bolt Blitz guys are in the comments section. We really appreciate y'all hanging out.
There's a bell for the comments.
So nice to see them. We appreciate people listening to this show, but at the same time right now, while I'm still trying to get my feet wet, it's all right that there aren't a lot of you. There will be so many of you who are going to be like, damn, I wish I would have started in the beginning, but you guys had to do that 10 years ago. So for those of you who haven't yet, just slide on in, take your time, relax, take it slow and let the good times roll and figure out what Bolt Blitz is all about, because we're still trying to figure it out too. I don't have Tom with me anymore. May he rest in all peace. I miss you. I love you. You deserve to be here for this. It's fucking bullshit that you're not. I hate it. But that being said, having talked to you, I don't know how many times, we were doing our best to try to bring this back. But when you have 2 dudes with horrible health, one who has now passed away, it does definitely make scheduling difficult. We are Bolt Blitz. We're a little off the rails all the time. We have great guests. I don't know if you guys heard about the first show. We had Emery Hunt of CBS Sports. We had Bert Grossman, former Chargers defensive lineman, cover of Sports Illustrated, big mouth Bert. And then we had my dude Eric Williams of Fox Sports, formerly of ESPN. By the way, Eric bringing that up, it's because the last time he was on one of my shows, I said he was with ESPN. He wasn't. He was with Fox Sports then.
Here's the thing. You're telling on yourself. It didn't happen.
I know, but I have to, because these fucks are going to tell me anyway, so I got to beat them to the punch.
See, this is the kind of show we are. We refer to our previous guests as these Fs right here. I love it. It's great.
All the time. Hey, guys, thank you to everybody who's taken the time to listen to me mumble and ramble and do all the goofy shit that we've done. We didn't expect to get the Keenan Allen news. It kind of threw me for a loop. I was so excited. My son's texted me. I can't tell you how much my phone's been blowing up with all this shit. We've got the Bolt Blitz boys in the comments just feeding me shit to keep us going. And I guess what I can say is I'm so excited to be back. Thanks for your patience. We get a little loopy here. We have a little too much fun. And I didn't know that was going to be the tone of these shows moving forward, but I can't imagine any other way to do it, if I'm being completely honest. I think we're just going to keep having a good damn time. Thank you so much for tuning in. On behalf of my co-host and producer extraordinaire, Kyle Nash, I'm Booga Peters. You've been listening to Bolt Blitz Uncut. We'll see you next time. And don't forget, nobody's as crazy as we are.